Morning all. Alright, so 11 games tonight in the National Hockey League. We've got 6 of them starting at 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific. Half an hour later, the 7th game gets started, and then there's an hour before the next one. So they're kind of spread out, but still, we're going to have 9 games on at the same time for a brief period tonight. Again, I'll do the best to cover what I can and follow what I can while I'm watching the games. Alright, so starting at 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific, we've got the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Boston Bruins. Boston's won the first 2 meetings. We'll see if they can win the third tonight. October 28th, Boston wins 4-0. December 17th, Boston wins 4-2. On the Columbus side, they're 23-43-7 on the season. Their last 10 games, they're 3-6-1. They're 29 points out of the playoffs behind the Pittsburgh Penguins. They're 2 points behind San Jose. They're 1 point behind Chicago. So that race for the bottom, they're winning it right now. They're 1 point ahead of the Chicago Blackhawks in the Bedard chase. On the Boston side, they're 57-12-5. Their last 10 games, they're 7-3. They're playing for a chance at the President's Trophy tonight, but I don't think that matters to them. They're 21 points ahead of Toronto. Like, seriously. The one thing with Boston to keep an eye on as we get into the last couple of weeks is how motivated they are and the drive of the teams against them. Tonight, that shouldn't be a problem because Columbus, who are dealing with a ton of injuries, so Boston probably wins this one. 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. The Florida Panthers will try to manhandle the Montreal Canadiens one last time. December 29th, they won 7-2. January 19th, they won 6-2. And March the 16th, they won 9-5. So Florida has put up, 7, 6, 9. So 48 goals over the first 3 games against Montreal. Now I checked the math. Florida's 37-31-7 overall. Their last 10 games are 5-4-1. They're coming off of a huge victory in Toronto last night. They're 1 point behind Pittsburgh in that final playoff spot. So if you're a Penguins fan, you're also cheering for Nashville tonight, which should be a lateral move because then you're still cheering for a team that has a cat for their logo. They're 4 points ahead of Buffalo, Ottawa, and Washington. On the Montreal side, they're 39-6 overall. Their last 10 games, they're 4-6. 16 points behind the Pittsburgh Penguins and 13 points ahead of the Columbus Blue Jackets. So they're closer to the bottom than they are to the playoffs. But at any rate, for Montreal, they've done a good job playing spoiler lately, so, Florida has to be careful. But there shouldn't be a problem because Paul Maurice will lose it on them. 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, the New Jersey Devils, who have already guaranteed a split in the season series with the Rangers, look to win it outright tonight at home against the New York Rangers. November 28th, New Jersey won this matchup 5-3. December 12th, it was a 4-3 overtime win for the New York Rangers. January 7th, it was a 4-3 overtime win for New Jersey. So this series has been close. The Rangers 44-20-10 overall. Their last 10 games are 8-1-1. They are 2 points back in New Jersey. Now remember, the first tiebreaker is regulation wins. New Jersey has more regulation wins than does the New York Rangers. The Rangers are also 11 points ahead of the New York Islanders. On the New Jersey side, they're 46-20-8. Their last 10 games, they're 4-4-2. They're 3 points behind Carolina, who are first in the Metro, and 2 points ahead of the New York Rangers. So, yeah, for New Jersey, they could finish as high as first. They could finish as low as third. We shall see. But that 4-4-2 in their last 10, that's kind of an oof on their part. 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, we have the Nashville Predators and the Pittsburgh Penguins on February 28th. Pittsburgh went into Nashville and won 3-1. Nashville will try to return the favor tonight. The Preds are 37-28-8 overall. Their last 10 games are 5-4-1. They're 3 points behind Winnipeg in that final playoff spot in the West. And they're 8 points clear of St. Louis and Vancouver in terms of the overall standings. The Pittsburgh Penguins, 36-28-10 overall. Their last 10 games, they're 4-6. They're 5 points behind the New York Islanders, and that final playoff spot, they are 1 point, or the Pittsburgh's 5 points behind the Islanders for that number 1 wildcard spot. Sorry, Penguins fans. And they're 1 point ahead of Florida. I'm even worrying Pittsburgh because I like their chances tonight, just personally. Usually when Pittsburgh's in a situation where they will find themselves out of the playoffs potentially with a loss, they'll come out with a big game. So I'm thinking probably a pretty big game for Pittsburgh tonight, but we shall see. 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, the Flyers are in against the Ottawa Senators. So November 5th, Philadelphia wins 2-1. On November 12th, the Ottawa Senators won 4-1. So for Philadelphia, they're 29-32-12 overall, but over their last 10, they've been 5-4-1. They've been playing well lately. They're 12 points behind Pittsburgh in that final playoff spot. They're 4 points clear of the Montreal Canadiens in the standings. So they're not mathematically eliminated yet. On the Ottawa side of things, they're 36, 33, and 5 overall. Their last 10 games, they're 3, 6, and 1. They're 5 points back of Pittsburgh and that final playoff spot. They are tied with Buffalo and Washington in terms of the overall standings. But we'll see, how that ends up shaking out. For Ottawa, they really need this win tonight. But again, with Ottawa, they can be inconsistent. That's how you end up 3, 6, and 1 over your last 10. 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. The Capitals in against Tampa Bay Lightning. The Bolts coming off of maybe their biggest win of the season, that 4-0 win in Carolina. They'll be looking to carry on that momentum. For Washington, they're coming off of a shootout loss last night. Washington won the first meeting November 11th, 5-1. November 13th, it was a 6-3 win for Tampa Bay. The Capitals, 34, 32, and 9. Their last 10 games are 3, 4, and 3. They're 5 points behind Pittsburgh in that final playoff spot. They are tied with Ottawa and Buffalo. I'd like to see Kuznetsov try his shootout move in an actual game. I'd like to see him try going in on a goaltender that slowly while the defense just kind of watches him do it. Anyways, Tampa Bay, there's your randomness for today. Tampa Bay's 43, 26, and 6 overall. Their last 10 games, they're 5 and 5. They're 6 points back at Toronto after Toronto got a point last night. They're 11 points clear of Florida, so still very solidly entrenched in third place in the division. And then at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific, we have the Carolina Hurricanes and the Detroit Red Wings. December 13th, a 1-0 win for Carolina, so a close one. The next meeting will be April the 11th. On the Carolina side, they're 47, 17, and 9. Their last 10, an uninspired 4, 5, and 1. They are 3 points clear of the New Jersey Devils. They're 5 points clear of the New York Rangers. It may very well be playing against teams that are more motivated than they are. We'll see how things go tonight against a Detroit team that got a pretty big win their last time out against Pittsburgh. They're 32, 32, and 9 overall. They're 4 and 6 over their last 10. They're 9 points back of Pittsburgh in that final playoff spot. They are 3 points ahead of Philadelphia. So for Detroit, it really is about kind of pride at this point. And if they can get the win over Carolina, they could pull themselves potentially within 7 points of a playoff spot, right? So until you're mathematically eliminated, you're not technically eliminated. 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific, the St. Louis Blues and the Chicago Blackhawks. I'll wake up eventually. I'll get there. So St. Louis has already won 2 out of 3 against Chicago. This is the third or fourth and final meeting. They're looking to win 3 out of 4. St. Louis won November 16th, 5-2. December 29th, it was a 3-1 win for the Blues. And then on January 21st, Chicago won 5-3. St. Louis, 34, 34, and 6. Their last 10 games are 6, 3, and 1. They're coming off of an entertaining, if sloppy, victory against Vancouver, and that's after a sloppy and entertaining loss against the LA Kings. So the entertainment value is there with St. Louis games. Their games are starting to look like what Buffalo games were a couple months ago. They are 11 points back of Winnipeg in that final playoff spot in the West. They are tied with Vancouver, and they're 7 points clear of the surprisingly respectable Arizona Coyotes. On the Chicago side, they're 24, 44, and 6. Their last 10 games are 2, 7, and 1. They are 31 points behind the Winnipeg Jets in that final playoff spot in the West, and they're 1 point ahead of Columbus. So if Columbus scores an unexpected victory in Boston coming out of tonight, Chicago could be that team that's occupying 32nd spot overall in the standings. 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific, the LA Kings and the Edmonton Oilers renew their rivalry. LA has won the first 2 meetings. Edmonton looking to win this one. So November 16th, LA wins 3-1. January 9th, LA wins 6-3. The fourth and final meeting will be on April the 4th. For the Kings, they're 43, 21, and 10. Their last 10 games are 7, 1, and 2. They had their 12-game point streak snapped in Calgary. They'll be looking to get a new one started tonight. They're 2 points back of Vegas in that top spot in the Pacific. They are 1 point ahead of Edmonton. Yep. If Vegas loses tonight in regulation and Edmonton wins, this division's kind of a mess. And if Edmonton wins it in, say, overtime or a shootout, then things really tighten up, don't they? So for Edmonton, they're 43, 23, and 9. Their last 10 games are 8, 1, and 1. They are only the 1 point behind LA, and they're 7 points clear of Seattle. So any dreams Seattle had of finishing in the top 3, probably done. But Seattle is at home tonight against Anaheim. So this is the fourth and final meeting between these teams. October 12th, Anaheim scored an overtime win over the Seattle Kraken 5-4. Must feel like a lifetime ago. November 27th, it was a 5-4 win for Seattle. And then on March the 7th, it was a 5-2 win for Seattle. Anaheim is 23, 41, and 10 overall. Their last 10 games, they're 2-6-2. They're 11 points behind Arizona, so well out of the playoffs. And they're 1 point ahead of San Jose. They're 2 points ahead of Chicago, which means they're only 3 points ahead of Columbus. So those 4 teams right down there and fighting it out for last. Seattle, 40-25-8, will be glad to help Anaheim's bid to finish last. They're 4-4-2 in their last 10. They need some victories here. They are 7 points back of Edmonton, as I said. They are 3 points ahead of Winnipeg, who are the number 2 wild card currently. So it does look like at this point we will probably see Seattle and Minnesota in the first round. And I'm all for that. I think that could be a really fun one. 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 Pacific. We have Vegas and San Jose. Yep, I'm betting on overtime too. So these teams have met 3 times already. All of them were settled in regulation. We'll see if that happens tonight. Vegas has won 2 of the first 3. October 25th, they win 4-2. 5-2 win for San Jose on November 15th. That was in Vegas. And then February 16th, Vegas won 2-1 over the San Jose Sharks. So for Vegas, they're 46-22-6. They're coming off that humiliating loss against the Oilers. I would expect to bounce back tonight. They're 8-2 in their last 10. They're 2 points ahead of LA, 3 points ahead of Edmonton, and they have to understand at this point winning their division is important because you don't want to be embroiled in that 2-3 matchup. I really think each 2-3 matchup in the National Hockey League is going to be a war at this stage. San Jose, 20-39-15 overall. Last 10 games are 1-6-3 due to the win over Winnipeg, their last time out. They are 30 points behind Winnipeg, so they pulled themselves within 30 points of the playoffs, and they're 1 point clear of Chicago in terms of the overall spot in the West, meaning they're only 2 points ahead of Columbus for that final spot in the National Hockey League. But hey, they were the last team to reach 20 wins. Now every team in the league has at least 20 wins. So let me know your winners in the comment section below. As always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.